We are now going to transition into what we call our lightning talks. These are rapid 5-minute presentations. And I'd like to introduce our first presentation by Andrew Lamb, who is the chair of the Internet of Production Alliance, titled Made in Everywhere, the Next Industrial Devolution. Andrew, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Is there a timer I can keep an eye on? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, please. That's okay. Great discussion. That sounded patronizing. It's coming from a Brit. Brits often sound patronizing. Thank you for having me. The Next Industrial Devolution. Manufacturing is devolving. It is leaving the cities and the industrial estates and China, and it is spreading to more and more places, and it is coming to a village, to a shop, to a slum, to a refugee camp near you. It's enabled by the internet and by low-cost computers and digital fabrication machines, enabled by improved access to education around the world, to knowledge shared openly, and to know-how being shared openly. It's enabled by the entrepreneurial spirit of pioneers across the global south, wanting to use the latest technology to improve their lives and their communities. Manufacturing is becoming less centralized and more distributed and more accessible, and mass production is being complemented by what Gandhi called production by the masses. But we aren't just talking about spinning cotton anymore. We're talking about making certified medical devices. We're talking about manufacturing microprocessors, buckets, and recycled plastic building blocks. We're talking about manufacturing enzymes and emergency supplies. It's spreading faster now because of open source software, because of the rise of open source hardware, and the adoption of open standards for manufacturing across networks. Kajenzi in Kenya enabled a Japanese manufacturer to shift its production of spare parts from Japan to its 3D printers in Kisumu. Gearbox in Nairobi has enabled Raspberry Pi computers to bring their production to Africa. Zenith Technologies, a 3D printing company in Nepal, enabled one of its clients to design, patent, and produce 220,000 improved cook stoves in a year, reducing the government's reliance on imports from India. And BRAC, and we have a representative here, Syed, who's working on this, worked on digitally enabled injection molding for COVID-19 supplies. These pioneers of distributed manufacturing were last year the focus of a study by Anna, Regina, Vicky, and Felipe. Sadly, Regina couldn't be with us today. For UK Aid and the FCDO's Frontier Technology Hub, and scaling distributed manufacturing in the global south. They found barriers to progress. The research showed that in every local digital manufacturer's case that they looked at in the global south, they were all internalizing costs that in other countries and in other industries could be provided at the ecosystem level. They were having to train staff. They were having to do designs from scratch for products. They were having to certify products right from the start, and they were having to battle INGO and government procurement policies, haven't we all? So their costs are higher, and their sales are lower and slower than they should be. But then there was the COVID-19 pandemic. These pioneers and the maker movement in general responded where global supply chains failed, making tens of millions of items of PPE in places that were otherwise very hard to reach. There was a burst of investment into massive numbers of small manufacturers and the ecosystems that supported them, including investments by FCDO, but mainly by communities themselves. And we saw this in the United States as well, and the UK. What is needed now is for that investment and interest to be rediscovered and redoubled. So let's always discuss digital fabrication at the Digital Development Forum. Let's begin to include in donor government digital strategies, program designs, and procurement reforms, digital fabrication, and let's recognize that these pioneers, not as hobbyists and as tinkerers that we see in countries like mine and the US, but like the early pioneers of the internet and the web. Because if we as a sector can help bring together the next industrial devolution to places left behind by globalization, and if we can enable the true localization and resilience in this new internet of production, then more people will make more things in more places, growing economic activity. We will reduce carbon impacts from global supply chains. We will reduce urban and international migration, and we will reduce dependence on aid. And we will empower everyone to be creators and not just consumers. Thank you.